back to the news at 10. The Chief Whip of the House of Representatives, Honorable Alhassan Doguwa, is defending the powers of the National Assembly to alter the budget. Speaking to participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 10 of the Institute for Security Studies in Abuja, Honorable Doguwa explained that the Constitution empowers the lawmakers to alter the estimates submitted by the Executive in the interest of Nigerians.
The presidency has come under several criticisms from the National Assembly for key decisions and appointments. This has led to a strained relationship between the two arms of government.
Then we have Mr. Austin Kundude.
At this lecture for participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 10 of the Institute for Security Studies, the issue of executive-legislative relations came to the fore.
The principle we all live by now is issue of checks and balances. Checks and balances. So that no arm of government must be allowed to wield absolute powers.
Our constitution should be amended to clearly state the extent of powers for the legislator to amend the budgets. I think it's just to maybe change the language, and insert there that the legislator have the powers. But it's impliedly, when you say that, a son is bringing the wife to be to the father to show the father. What does that show? It's not a mere respect. It's that the father has the capacity and the responsibility to say no.
One of the areas of disagreement between the two arms is the 2017 budget. And the Chief Whip of the House of Representatives explains the powers of the National Assembly to alter the budget.
Those who crafted the Nigerian Constitution had that wisdom that in their attempt to really divest some institutions or an individual with too much powers, that the only way to check that kind of possible arbitration of power is to rest powers in the hands of many. And that is the National Assembly. Then how then will you expect that an estimate will go and just come out the way it came? This is impossible.
There are several views on how to resolve the conflict between the executive and the legislature. However, what is important is that such conflict should be in the interest of the ordinary Nigerian.
The Senate is optimistic that provision for road infrastructure in the 2017 budget will to a large extent address the poor condition of federal roads across the country and reduce the suffering of Nigerians who have to travel by road. The Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, Senator Clifford Odea, stated this when members of the Committee on Oversight Function inspected the Bini Auchi Okene Abuja Road Dualization project in Edo State.
Members of the Senate Committee on Works being received by officials of the Federal Ministry of Works as they arrive at Okpada town in Edo State to commence the inspection of major road projects being executed across the state by the federal government. The first stop is at the Auchi Okene Abuja Road Dualization project, where senators inspected the work and made their impression known to the contractor handling that section of the project.
From what you see, if you leave this for this season, I'm sure before then you get to this place. You need to extend this thing.
At the Ewood Town axis of the highway, the senators were received by indigents of the area, who seized the opportunity to appeal to the federal government to ensure speedy completion of the project in order to reduce the loss of lives and property.
This major road itself was created 1977-75. From that time till now, as far as we are concerned, the road has expired.
Please, we are tired of carrying dead bodies here. Day in, day out, they will wake me at the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, that accidents are happening here to come and carry dead bodies.
At Ekpoma town, the team got a taste of the routine difficulties motorists encounter by plying the route.
Every day now, some people they die for this road.
Look at this opposite junction and watch Bijo, Timire, and School Gate. No way you can move.
This particular phase of the road, which was given to us or awarded to us, has not. The mobilization has not been paid.
It cannot be true that there was no mobilization paid. Some amount of mobilization cost was paid to the contractor. That I know too well.
The visit ends at the Benin axis of the road.
People traveling from Benin to Lokoja or to Isha, to be precise, had to spend about 5 to 6 hours on the journey that would have taken them moderately within 2 hours. And that is why one of the reasons why we are also here as members of Senate Committee on Works, because this matter was referred to us during the plenary. And I can assure you that having visited the sites, something is being done to ameliorate these conditions.
The oversight exercise is concluded here, but the lawmakers say they are living with better insights into the situation of things.
The Senate is warning the executive to be mindful of the implications of the suspension of Nigeria from the network of finance intelligence units. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crime, Senator Chukwuka Utazi, raised the alarm that Nigeria has been suspended from the group till 2018 with the threat of expulsion if the country does not meet the standards of the group. Our correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
Nearly 2 weeks ago, the Edmond Group of Financial Intelligence Units suspended Nigeria for failing to grant independence to Nigeria's financial intelligence units.
And the reluctance of EFCC.
The chairman of the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crime tabled Nigeria's suspension from the group before federal lawmakers.
Mr. President, this Senate notes that the Egmont Group is a network of financial intelligence units and is the highest intergovernmental association of intelligence agencies in the world. Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, which is the body that represents Nigeria in the group, has not been granted operational autonomy, and the unit is still domiciled within the EFCC, a situation the group has objected to over the years. B, the meddlesomeness of the acting chairman of the EFCC in the affairs of the NFIU by his interference in the operations and staffing of the unit, leading to the departure of many competent hands.
He says Nigeria's membership of the group has benefited the country in terms of giving the nation access to privileged information which member states share among themselves, as well as assistance in investigation of financial crime and money laundering. Nigeria has until January 2018 to ensure that it makes its financial intelligence units autonomous, otherwise it will lose crucial benefits of belonging to the organization.
This Senate informed that one of the immediate effects of Nigeria's suspension from the group is that the Egmont Secure Web, ESW, is currently shut down against Nigeria. The implication is that Nigeria can no longer exchange sensitive information with other member countries in order to carry out our investigative and regulatory responsibilities as they affect local and international investigations. If we are desirous of achieving results in our anti-corruption fight, then we must not afford to be expelled from an institution that does and have the mechanism in every possible way to support our own local national laws.
The Senate therefore resolves to pass a law to create a functional and independent Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit and empower it to relate with all countries on issues affecting its mandate at different levels. Meanwhile, the Senate has also passed the Whistleblowers Protection Bill. Under the newly passed legislation, a person who makes a disclosure shall not be subject to victimization by an employer or fellow employees. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. And we begin business news tonight with the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company saying it plans to launch the second tranche bond issuance of 20 billion naira within the third quarter of 2017. According to the company's chief executive officer, Mr. Charles Sigayete, the planned bond issue, which was delayed due to high inflation and interest rates, is intended to raise additional funds for the nation's increasing housing deficit. The company launched its first 8 billion naira bond in 2015 and listed on the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange and the Nigerian Stock Exchange in September the same year. The NMRC was set up under the last administration to address the mortgage refinancing gap in Nigeria. The Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission have announced plans to also launch a platform that will allow Nigerians monitor all concession projects across the country before the end of August 2017. The Acting Director General of the Commission, Chidi Izua, says the new plan will ensure transparency and accountability in awards and execution of projects across the country.
The aim of this project, it's part of the commitment of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari and the acting president, Professor Yemo Simbanjo, that Nigerians should have access to all information regarding PPP contracts. So what it means is that we're working with them like I committed. By the end of August, the web portal will come on, and any Nigerian, anywhere you are, once you have internet access and you open that web portal, all the pre-contract information about what was done, the feasibility studies, what the requirements here, who bidded for it, who didn't bid for it, who was successful, all that pre-contract information, the post-contract information, what is the service level, what services are you supposed, the concessionaire is supposed to provide. For example, at the airport, what quality of service are you expected to end, what sort of things are you supposed to get at the airport, what are your entitlements, what are you paying for? So all that information will be available. So what it means is that Nigerians will be equipped, to be able to insist and get the services that people have contractually entered into. Because if you have a service requirement or you have a right, if you're not aware of that right, can you enforce it? You cannot enforce it. So Nigerians will be aware of all the PPP contracts that have been entered into and what the service requirement information are, what the service levels are, what the providers are supposed to do. So everybody in Nigeria becomes like a PPP contract compliance expert.
Well, let's now see how the Nigerian stock market fared today. Demand for oil and gas and banking stocks drove the all-share index higher to its 10th consecutive gain within the first 2 weeks of this month. Chimeze Obiwago has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. For 10 straight days now, the equities market has sustained the positive tempo. This is all thanks to the few companies that have sent in their second quarter earnings, the likes of Unilever and Africa Prudential. Now today, the indicator notched up by 0.23%, pushing the all-share index and the market cap to the corridor of 34,000 mark and 12 trillion naira band each. In 4,055 deals, investors scrambled for over 331 million shares worth 3.2 billion naira. After yesterday's off-market transaction of 2.08 billion shares by UBA, the company has notified the exchange of cancelling the same amount of shares from its staff share investment trust scheme. And by doing this, the outstanding shares of UBA will be reduced by the amount accordingly. And today's top gainer was Transcorp, which went up by 8.76%. Presco and MRS had a tie in percentage terms to top the decliners table by 4.99%. And traders are looking forward for more positive transaction in Thursday's trading session. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu.
Thanks a lot, Chimeze. Well, as for other major world markets around the world, they closed pretty much in the green today after investors digested key U.S. housing data and more quarterly earnings. Let's see how they all ended today. That's Business News Tonight. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. The rest of the news at 10 continues with Ijoma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, federal government seeks amendments of the NBC code to compel brands to sponsor Nigeria Professional Football League. That's on sports. Stay with us.